What's up, Bardians? It's your boy, Centipede here, and I want to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on Destiny. Destiny as a whole. I'm talking PvE, PvP. I know some of you probably like, you don't do PvE, but I'm going to tell you why I don't do PvE. Now, these are all my opinions. Of course, if you feel differently, that's perfectly fine. You're welcome. You might view something differently than me, and that's perfectly fine. But I just wanted to share my thoughts on the game as a whole. And a lot of you guys asked me to do so in one of my previous videos, where I asked if you guys wanted to hear it. So I'll get into the first part about PvE. Why I don't really like PvE in Destiny. Why I don't do PvE. One of the #1 reasons I don't like PvE in Destiny is because of weapon roll RNG. I absolutely hate RNG. This will come into play with some other stuff too, but I hate RNG. Now it's fine. Like if you kill something and it doesn't drop, that's fine. But what bothers me is when a weapon drops, you basically have a slot machine on like 5 different rolls, 6 probably on 6 perks on the gun. Not only do you have to have RNG for the gun to drop, you have to have RNG for the perks that you want. Now, I always say people who like random roll weapons in RNG are the people who happen to have been lucky and gotten the rolls they want really easily. There's people out there who still don't have the right spare rations that they want. And yeah, people say that promotes, you know, more farming and longer stuff, but that's not what I would do as a design. There's some of you out there who probably liked this well, and I liked it also. I liked static rolled weapons. Now, I think a lot of people didn't like it in Destiny because there was like one. It was like you got Better Devils, Midnight Coup, Old Fashioned, Dire Promise, and those there was not very many choices. I guess there wasn't nearly as many options. But I mean, if you think about it anyway, even with random rolls, people in the end want the same rolled gun. People farm spare rations because they wanted full bore, rapid hit, rangefinder, accurate or ricochet rounds with range master. People farmed it so much and they wanted that roll. So why not just have that roll drop, but make it a low drop chance or something? Like people say they don't like static rolls, but they still want the same random rolled gun as everybody else does. And I know there's guys out there who still don't have the spare rations they want, and it sucks. It's just I don't want to. For me, when I get on a first-person shooter, Destiny, I don't want to grind stuff like that. I want to just go and play multiplayer. I want to like shoot enemies, you know, play against other people. For a multiplayer first-person shooter, I'm not a huge fan of like playing the storyline or grinding out PvE stuff, shooting Thrall. Every time I played older games back in the day, like Call of Duty or Halo, I would just do the campaign once, kind of see what it is, and then go play multiplayer forever. And I know Destiny's not. They try to make it a little bit of like role-playing game, but it's just not for me. But it is nice though that at least if you enjoy PvE in this game, like you have the option. Like it's in Halo or in Call of Duty, I guess more so. There was no multiplayer for story mode. Maybe there was co-op where you could play with 1 or 2 people, but there wasn't a whole lot of replayability. I guess it was pretty much the same thing over and over. I mean, you could say the same thing for Destiny, but at least you can. There's a little bit of different stuff you can do for stuff. So at least it's nice that there's the option for people to do raid content and make make content from that. It would just be nice if they were a bit more separated, I guess, PvE and PvP. Now, I play World of Warcraft. I don't really like the new stuff. I like classic. I play classic. And for me, I love the loot system in that game. Now, in World of Warcraft, let's say you run a 5-man dungeon, kind of like a 3-man strike, I guess, in Destiny. In World of Warcraft, let's give an example. There's 3 bosses in a dungeon. One boss is gonna have a loot table of 5. His loot table is gonna consist of like maybe a chest piece, a cape, a sword, a gun, you know, stuff like that. Each of those items has a certain percentage to drop. Let's say like the cape has a 20%, the axe has a 5%, the gun has a 3%, right? And only one of those items is gonna drop, but they're all static rolls. They're all the same exact roll. You can keep running that dungeon over and over until you get that item to drop. And yeah, it might take a while, but at least once it drops, you know you're done. And there is a possibility of having to compete with other people for that item because there's only one item that's going to drop and you have to kind of roll for against other people. But if you run with friends, and they know what you want and what you're there for, you're pretty much guaranteed to get it if it drops. If there's something you want in the game, you go farm for it, and when it drops and you're done. Now, comparing just dungeons to Destiny, yeah, I like the loot system for like, wow, dungeons are a lot better. Now that's just dungeons, right? Now, raids in World of Warcraft completely different, in my opinion, to compare to Destiny. Raids, you get to be able to do a raid once a week, and maybe there's 40 people in that raid, and the boss has a loot table of maybe 15, or not 15, like 10 items, and each has a low percent chance to drop. If something drops that you want and you're a pretty popular class, you're going to have to be competing with at least 4 or 5 other people for that, and if you don't get it, you can't get it again, possibly for another week, and even then, that next week, it probably won't even drop. So now the WoW raid loot system can be an extreme grind, extremely lucky, but very, very rewarding. And yeah, you could say like the same thing of Destiny, like if you get that gun, it's very, very rewarding, but Destiny can also be very, very rewarding once you get the gun to drop and the exact roles you want. Now, I'm not going to compare WoW raids to Destiny because WoW raids are a completely different thing, but my whole thing about the dungeons is I wish that Destiny guns and weapons weren't random rolled and they were static rolled with a low percent to drop like WoW dungeons. I'm comparing them, I'm saying I wish that Destiny weapons and armor would drop similar to like World of Warcraft dungeons. Now, on my druid, there's 2 pieces of gear that I would be done with. But these 2 pieces of gear actually kind of have like a Destiny RNG slot machine roll. Now, in WoW, there's some items that drop with that's called like they're called Atale. So Atale shoulders, right? They're just called Atale shoulders, but they have a suffix. They have a suffix of the eagle, of the bear, of the monkey, of the whale. And like eagle is like intellect, stamina, whales like spirit, stamina, owls like intellect, spirit, and then you got like monkey, which is intellect, or monkey, which is agility and stamina. You have just straight agility, you have just straight stamina. You have of the bear, which is strength and stamina. So there's where the little bit of the Destiny RNG comes into play in those pieces of armor. And you know what? Those were my least favorite items to grind for because I don't have what I want. Whereas every other piece of gear, it's just a static roll. It dropped. I won the roll. I got it. I'm done. Can do whatever I want. But no, my shoulders I want of the monkey. But no, on my shoulders I have stamina, which is like, and then on my gloves I want of the monkey as well. But the best roll I could get was of the eagle, which is intellect and stamina. Overall, what I'm saying though is I like static rolls, and I like the loot system in World of Warcraft a little better. I wish it was a bit more like that, and I would enjoy PvE a bit more. I'm just not a fan of random rolls because to me, it's an illusion. We all want the same rolls in the end. We all strive for snapshot on the sniper. We all strive for full bore or reinforced barrel with slide shot, snapshot, or quick draw. We all want the same perks in the end. My fix for that kind of in Destiny would be like, you take one gun, one 140 RPM handgun, right? You give it certain rolls, good rolls people will actually kind of want. You tie it to a boss or a dungeon, a strike, and you give it a certain percentage to drop. You know how they have like 1 per person. You know, everybody can get it at once, or maybe only 1 person gets it, and that's that. You have one 140 RPM hand cannon with a certain rules that's tied to a certain boss that you can farm for, and it drops. And it's a static roll. Take that same 140 RPM hand cannon, maybe give it a little bit of different appearance look, slightly different stats, but still similar stats. Give it some decent rolls that people want, but different than the previous one. Tie it to a different dungeon or strike, certain percentage of drop. There you go, and keep doing that again for maybe like 6 different 140 RPM hand cannons. Do the same thing with different weapons like scouts. Tie it to those bosses as well as give them a loot table, and then just keep doing it with a lot of weapons. Now, like, so we kind of have that with the whole spare rations grind, right? The Shade of Orcs, he has a loot table. It's like the Outlast, spare rations, and I forget, maybe a couple other things. Problem is this, it has the whole RNG factor. Like, you get one to drop and it's a crappy roll, and you're just farming and farming and farming and farming and farming. Yeah, you can do it all day, but you could also be unlucky all day and spend days and weeks farming it, waste time farming it. Just let one drop and one be done, and then make another gun similar and make it drop somewhere else. That's just how, and same thing with armor too. That's what I'm talking about with armor. Make a similar thing with armor, but that's just how I feel about RNG, weapon RNG, and PvE. I'm sure the content's fine. I just don't like I don't like the rewards. And for me, honestly, like I said, when I get on a first-person shooter, I want to go play multiplayer. I don't want to shoot at NPCs. That's just me, and that's how I feel about it. That's my opinion. Now, PvP. Destiny, honestly, is not a super competitive game. There's a few things you can change to make it competitive, but it's not there yet. Now, overall, a lot of people probably say Destiny is an easy game, right? But just because something is easy doesn't mean someone still can't be better at it than you. Doesn't mean someone still can't do it better, faster, and quicker. Simple math tests back in the day, speed math tests, whatever, like 2 plus 2, it's easy, right? It's 4. Now put 20 math problems down as simple as that. 2 plus 2, 9 plus 6, 7 plus 4, 11 minus 3, 15 minus blah, 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 you know, go on and on. it's all pretty easy, right? But someone's gonna be able to do it faster than you. And that's what I'm getting at kind of with Destiny, is like, it may be easy and not a hard game, but someone's still going to be better at it than you. Someone's going to be able to do stuff faster. That's where a little bit of the competitiveness is in Destiny. Problem is, again, RNG comes into play. RNG, and there's a lot of cheesy stuff. There's a lot of cheesy weapons, right? I'll say this for something else. There's a lot of cheesy stuff. But with tournaments, they try and balance that out, right? They try and balance that out by banning certain things. They ban the last word. They ban Jotun, linear fusion rifles. They ban heavy. They ban a bunch of, kind of cheesy, easier stuff. You still have RNG involved. Now let's say they don't ban like a spare rations or mind mirrors. Like, those are just typical stuff. They're not gonna ban those. One problem right there, I always tried to like have little there's the Kicktar tournaments. I try to get him to run wide armor only and static rolled weapons, but nobody wanted to do it. Because in my opinion, that's the most fair way to go about. Take out RNG. Everyone's the same. But then people have the whole argument, go play Halo. Yeah, okay, you can go play Halo, but it's still not Destiny. Like, we want static and fair and even stuff with Destiny gameplay, Destiny mechanic, Destiny movements, and maps and all that stuff. But anyway, like I was saying, so even though they don't ban like spare rations or mind benders, for example, you're still at the mercy of kind of RNG. You can take two exact players, both equally good players, but one's going to be at a just slight disadvantage, or one's going to be at a slight advantage. It's not huge, but it's still there. There's still disadvantages. Because maybe somebody had bad luck and they could never get a good mind benders. They couldn't get the right barrel. They couldn't get one with slide shot. They couldn't get the range master work. But then you got the other guy who has the god roll mind benders with full bore or rainforest, whatever you like. I prefer full bore. Full bore, accurate, slide shot, quick draw, range master work. In my opinion, that's what everybody wants. You got one guy with that role, which is like the best of the best role, and then you got some other guy who is just as a good player, but he just doesn't quite have the right luck and RNG to get, a similar rolled shotgun. He's missing a barrel. He's gonna automatically be at a slight disadvantage of maybe not being able to shotgun that guy at a 1 meter difference. Same thing with the hand cannon. Maybe one guy has all the right perks. He has all the max range perks, but then this other guy couldn't get him, and he's at a slight disadvantage from range. Just very minor stuff, but it's just. For me, it ruins a little bit of the fairness and competitiveness, which is why I tried to get people to run like wide armor and static roll weapons only. That's always my argument about Destiny competitive is RNG weapons, random roll weapons. It kind of ruins the balance of it. Now for like competitive tourney stuff, I guess for Destiny, the whole subclasses, maybe one thing has something better than the other, but at least those are not RNG. Say like a hunter. Hunters are really good, evading and getting out of there and surviving certain scenarios, right? If it's overpowered, you can just go play on a hunter. It's not RNG. You can just go log onto your hunter. You don't have to go farm 100 hours to get a certain gun. Say Titans, they have one-shot punching. If it's that big of a deal, just go play a Titan. Warlocks with their rifts and their healing orbs that heal their team and overshields, or you light their grenades, just go play that. Like the subclasses. Some stuff is a little more overpowered, but it's not a big deal because you can just go play that. I personally don't like supers, but I also really don't mind them because they do add to the whole Destiny game experience, kind of separated from a little bit of other games. And they did a good job at bringing them down to being a one-shot headshot snipers and balancing them out a little bit. Now, PvP in general, quick play, Destiny, right? Quick play, there's just a lot of, cheesy stuff out there. It's not easy to go 50-0 anymore because there's just so much cheesy stuff. There's just easy ways to kill. Like I said, Titan one-shot punching, Jotun tracking, sniping in this game is fairly easy. Maybe you accidentally get mapped by a fusion one time, but getting those high kill streaks like 50 no medals aren't as easy as they used to be. There's just a lot of cheat stuff in this game. Maybe the Titan punch is cheesy. Maybe it's a little broken. But again, with a game like Destiny where it's not competitive, I don't mind it. Like, at least if the game's not gonna be competitive, at least have fun, quote-unquote, broken stuff in the game. The Titan one-shot punching, yeah, it's pretty fun to do. The hunter roll where you get a freaking second chance in a fight is very good. I don't even play Warlock, so I don't really know what they have. But like in a game like this, in quick play, I don't mind broken stuff, cheesy stuff. It doesn't really bother me too much. At least it makes the game fun for me. And fun for other people. And if it's a big deal, you can just do the broken stuff yourself. Kind of talk about PvP balance a little bit. Pulses are on the strong side. It's a little annoying to fight, but even with the hand cannon and people, the range has been nerfed. You could still work the map and get closer. You might not be able to slay it as much as you could back, a few months ago, but you could still make hand cannons work. ARs are still kind of in an awkward place. They're all right. They're not bad. Scouts are always just scouts. They're good to sit back far and pick people off if that's your playstyle. I think sniping this game is a bit easy. I think that's probably due to hit scan, but sniping this game is a bit easy. Shotgunning is fairly. I think it's probably fairly balanced. I mean, the range to kill, it's not super far like it used to be, but it's also not bad. I think shotguns are pretty balanced the way they are. Fusion rifles, now I see a lot of people complaining about fusions, and I don't think fusions are that big of a deal. I don't think they're overpowered. I think backup plan makes them pretty viable, but against a pretty good player, and you can counter them, and they're not a big deal. Now, if you can get killed by Jotun or Aaron Tell mapped a couple times, like 1 or 2 times, you get a mulligan. You pay attention to who's doing it, you know it's in the game, and you adapt. If you keep getting killed by it, it's not the fusion's fault, it's your fault. Like, just see what's going on in the game and then adapt to it. They're easy to counter if it's that big of a deal. If you're getting that obliterated by one, counter it. Like I said, you get 1 or 2 free pass cards getting killed by fusion, but after that, if you keep getting killed by one, that's your fault. Now, if anything, they probably could reduce the amount of special ammo you get per brick. Now, I don't want this to turn into Destiny 1 Year 3, because Destiny 1 Year 3 was bad. With no special ammo at all, it was not fun. Having to pick up the boxes wasn't fun. It just turned into a sidearm fest. If anything, they could reduce the ammo just a little bit of amount that you get per brick, or maybe the amount that you can carry overall. With the way it is, you can pretty much play entire games with just snipers. It has been done. You can play entire games with just shotguns, just fusions. You don't have to use a primer. You can play with just 3 snipers because you can get enough ammo in the game to do that. Like, it's a little bit of a challenge to get ammo, but once you get ammo, like you get ammo, you get a lot, and you can play entire games with just snipers. You can go on huge sprees of just shotguns. So like I'm saying, if anything, they could reduce maybe the overall number that you pick up per like brick after you kill a player from 3 to 2, or reduce the amount that you can carry overall. You can carry like what, 14 shells in a sniper plus your magazine, and then maybe like 12 rounds total in a shotgun. They could just reduce that, maybe like to 7 for each one, or 8 for each one. Make it more special, but I don't think special is too huge of a deal. That's just a slight bounce, maybe. So overall, to kind of recap, I talked a lot. Overall, to kind of recap, I'm not into PvE because, for me, like I said, a first-person shooter, I want to just go play multiplayer. I want to shoot people. I don't want to shoot NPCs. I want to play against real people. I want to play multiplayer in a first-person shooter game. And I don't like random rolled weapons. I don't like RNG on that. I prefer static roll stuff, so I don't really care to run PvE over and over again because I don't like PvE. Like I said, I just don't like it, and I don't like random roll weapons because in the end we all want basically the same rolled weapon. Destiny competitiveness, even though Destiny is a fairly easy game, just because something easy doesn't mean someone can't do it better, someone can't do it faster, more efficient. To kind of balance out and make it more competitive, they could have just more options that you could add in the character select screen. For private matches, they can make it to where you have static rolled loadouts, static rolled armor, or just a vendor, a Crucible vendor that sells specific Crucible gear that you're only allowed to use in a certain playlist. Like if you want to go into this playlist, you're only allowed to use this armor, and it's this specific Crucible armor, Crucible weapons. You can't take in any gun into this playlist. You have to take in these static rolled weapons, these static rolled armor. They'll have choices on them. You could choose a 140 or 150 or 110. Hand cannon, you could choose different RPM. Snipers, different RPM. Weapons, but they're all static. We all have the same option to get them, and the armor is all the same. But they all have the static rolls, and you choose what you want based off what loadout you're going to run. Private matches would be nice to have a bit more customizations available, like being able to disable certain mods, like super mods and stuff, being able to maybe disable supers all the way, being able to make it to where you get less per brick. Just more options in private matches would be nice. Like, don't get me wrong, I still love Destiny. Destiny has done a lot for me. Like, it has built my YouTube channel, it has built my Twitch channel, it has given me a solid foundation to where I can keep playing the game and, you know, hopefully eventually branch out to other games in the future, but I still love this game. And I think the stuff I said is pretty fair. I'm not one of those people to say, Destiny's a shit game. Frick this game. The developers don't know what they're doing. I'm not, like, I'm not that type. I'm not. Those people, developers, they don't listen to those people. Those people don't even know what they're talking about. They can't give they can't give any validity. Like, if you say anything back to them, if you say any rebuttal to them, they're just gonna be like, okay, boomer. So like I said, I still love the game. There's just little stuff in it I would, of course, these are just my ideas and little stuff I would change, but they can't make everybody happy, and that's fine with it. I'll still work around with what I got and make what I have work. Adapt and overcome with certain stuff, certain metas and all that. Anyway, though, Bardians, this is probably a long video, a lot of me talking. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. If there's anything specifically you would want me to elaborate on in another video, like maybe you want me just to kind of talk about just PvE or just PvP, or maybe how the role of weapons and stuff like that, let me know down in the comments. I'll try and read everything so I can see if you guys want me to do that and make more specific videos about those subjects and how I feel and maybe what changes can be implemented. Let me know. And I think that's it, Bardians. Again, I hope you enjoyed me talking about the game, and I will see you in the next video. Stay thick.